You follow the spirit. In other words, you don't follow the letter of the law, the spirit of the law. Because our Guru Maharaj, he was chanting 64 rounds a day, but he tried in the beginning to have the disciples chant 64 rounds. I was just reading some notes, and then they couldn't do that very well. It's a letter from Prabhupada. I am very glad to learn that you are chanting 48 rounds a day. Actually, it is all right that one should chant 64 rounds, even 16 rounds. So if one is able to chant more than 16 rounds, up to 64, it is very good. You fix up your rounds, try to increase but never decrease it. This is a letter to Indira in 17th of December 1967. So right in the beginning, Prabhupada's he's sending letters to people. And this person, and telling her to chant. Here's a letter to one of his disciples in Los Angeles, Bhakti Jan. This is 1968. I shall advise you again to chant always, increasing the counting. Namely, 16 rounds is generally prescribed. But for the time being, you can stop all other activities and increase the chanting to 64 rounds. Follow the rules and regulations strictly. If you want sex life, you are at liberty to get yourself married. But don't have illicit sex with some of Maya's representative. Some brahmachari, I guess he was disturbed, so he told him to increase his chanting. Stop all their activities and chant 64 rounds a day. And if you still can't get over this thing, then get married. This is another one, listen. Also, Bhakti Jan is there in New York. He may be nicely treated as he has come back, so he will understand the philosophy nicely. Oh, I guess this person... Yeah, this is a few days later. Apparently what had happened, if you put it all together, this person, Bhakti Jan Das, in 1968, he had left. And he came back and Prabhupada told him to chant 64 rounds. Bhakti Jan is there in New York. He may be nicely treated as he has come back, so he will understand the philosophy nicely. I have asked him to chant 64 rounds instead of 16. That was a letter to Ramananda on February 15th. 3 days after the other letter. And this is a letter to Hansadutta, 1969. Yes, it is very good if you can chant 64 rounds. This is very nice if you can do it. So the devotees in the early days, now, it's very funny, because now if someone in Delhi or somewhere else in ISKCON, if they say, oh, I want to chant 64 rounds a day, and then someone will say, oh, that Prabhupada didn't say that. Only 16 rounds, chant 16 rounds and go out and collect money or whatever, do puja. And then, Prabhupada never said like that. The whole emphasis, the basic emphasis is, well, don't chant 64 rounds, just chant 16. And if you even mention 64, hey, who said this? Where'd you get this idea? This is not right. This is not Prabhupada's ISKCON, it's 64 rounds. What is this? But if we look at the actual history of the movement, 1966, 67, 68, because there was so much emphasis by Prabhupada, and when his first instructions, you can ask Mukunda Goswami, because he was initiated first initiation. Prabhupada had asked him, he asked Hayagriva, he said, now everyone has to chant 64 rounds, so they were trying. And he said, oh, we can't do it, it takes all day. And then he said, okay, 32. And I said, it takes almost all day. So he said, okay, 16, like this. And that's minimum. So there you can see, from 66, 67, 68, all the way up to 69, the disciples they knew that Prabhupada's real desire is that we chant 64 rounds. So each in their own way, they were trying to increase their chanting and chant 64 rounds, and they're writing letters to Prabhupada. These are Prabhupada's answers, which means they're writing him a letter, which you don't see in the letters book. Oh, Prabhupada, I've increased to 64 rounds and I'm still doing my service. Oh, that's very good. Then you hear all these, yes, very good. He's not saying, who told you to do that? Why are you doing that? Just chant 16 rounds and go on to Sankirtan. He didn't say that. Because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he told, because in Chaitanya Bhagavat, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, if one doesn't chant 64 rounds, then I won't accept. He said lakpati. A lakpati. He won't accept any food unless someone's a lakpati. So Prabhupada, of course, Bhaktivedanta has made some concession. We shouldn't be satisfied with less. Just like if someone's making money, they're never satisfied with less money. They want more money. You're doing this computer work, for how much you're getting? 6,000 rupees. Oh, if you work for me, I'll give you 10,000. No, I'm okay. 6,000 is nice. No, you'll drop that job in a second and do the same work for 10,000. More, everyone wants more. But when it comes to chanting or bhajan, bhakti bhajan, then we want less. We want to do less. So you can hear from this, we have some idea that if we can try to chant more rounds, that's a good idea. That's a good idea.